Welcome back, everybody, to the Mapperton Drawing Room. I hope you have your cup of tea and perhaps even a biscuit at hand so you can sit back, relax, and enjoy another wonderful historic house video together. So one of the questions that I do get asked quite a bit is, what is it really like living in an historic house? And well, the answer isn't all that straightforward. So let me start by saying that living in a historic house is of course a privilege, but it can also be incredibly challenging with the repairs, the restorations, and might I add, a lot of leaks. But we are also always really looking for ways to exist in a more sustainable and cost-efficient way in our 500-year-old house, which, as you can imagine, is not very easy to do. So, for example, here at Mapperton, we have installed a biomass boiler, and this boiler uses sustainable, carbon neutral, and renewable fuel in the form of wood. And this might feel like a fairly old-fashioned way of generating heat, but it is one of the most reliable ways to heat the house, the coach house, and a few other buildings on the estate. However, there is one historic house that has gone a step further and really is pioneering a new era as the first solar-powered manor house. Yes, you heard it here first. Solar-powered manor house. He's the first one. So heating historic homes is one of the greatest challenges house owners face in the 21st century. And when Giles Keating moved to Athelhampton House in Dorset in 2019, he was faced with the enormous task of heating rooms without insulation or double glazing. But he took on this challenge in a new and revolutionary way. And during my recent visit, I was lucky enough to get a sneak peek into what he's doing. Giles, this is beautiful. And I can see we're coming into the gardens. How many acres? You know, I always have to speak in acres as the American. Gardens do you have here?
Sure, so about 20 acres of gardens here.
Incredible.
And you've picked the most brilliant day to come, you really have. Yeah.
I do that. So Luke and I have always said, oh my gosh, Athelhampton, our neighbors, they are the first net zero, and I'll follow it up with castle, because I'm the American, and any big manor house, I always think of a castle, but this is true. You've been able to achieve something that not very many people have been able to, and in particular in a grade 1 listed house.
I think you're right, and we're very pleased to be able to do this, yeah.
So where are we entering into right now, Giles?
So this is the kitchen garden now, and a lot of the produce for the cafe comes from here.
Fantastic. Well, I had a delicious, I have to say, jacket potato. I haven't had one in quite some time, and I was very pleased. It really warmed me up. So
very good, very good.
Kudos to the chef. But we're now heading somewhere that is a part of this net zero project that began how many years ago?
So it began nearly 3 years ago now, actually, yes. I'm going to show you something that helped produce that jacket potato that you had.
Fantastic. Well, but here, of course, is an enormous greenhouse.
Yes, indeed.
I shall step inside because I know it'll be lovely and warm in here.
Oh, it's lovely and warm, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, great for growing the tomatoes for the cafe and so on.
Wonderful.
Come on through here and I will show you. There, you have to duck your head.
Yeah,
there we go.
Ooh, I get to go into the no entry zone.
The no entry zone.
The no entry zone.
Exactly.
Very lucky, very lucky. You can come too, everybody.
Yes, exactly. And here we are.
Oh.
The solar panels, yes.
My goodness.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So,
this is extraordinary. This is unbelievable. And how clever that, I mean, you would never guess that these were here. I couldn't see them from anywhere in the garden. Nowhere could I see them.
They're just invisible, exactly, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the right question to ask. Do I ask how many solar panels you have, or what are you producing?
Tell me.
So these, combined with some that we have in the field around the corner, produce at maximum 130 kilowatts in the middle of the day.
Yes.
And across the year as a whole, we're producing nearly 140 megawatt hours of electricity. That is a serious amount of electricity, yes.
Is that, and that, okay, how close can you get to these?
We can come up absolutely, you can come and touch them if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
And oh, can I? Well, okay, great.
We have to do that occasionally anyway, just if they, I mean, normally they're okay, but occasionally they just get a bit dirty, so.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, yeah.
Look at, and they're warm.
Yeah,
of course they are.
Of course they are, yeah.
Lovely and warm. This is magical. Okay, Giles, I have so many questions, and I think many people watching this program will have questions as well. First and foremost, you know, you came to Athelhampton in 2019, so not that long ago.
Yes.
It was, presumably it was heated how? And electricity was the normal way, is that right?
So what we had gas tanks, LPG tanks.
Yep.
And that was by far the biggest source of power and we had lots of gas boilers, which needed a lot of maintenance. And then there was a small oil-fired Arga.
Yes, we still have that.
Yeah, and then we had for emergencies, we had a diesel generator.
Okay.
A great sort of big beast of a thing.
Okay.
And so all of that has gone.
All that has gone.
All of it has gone, yeah.
Oh my goodness. And what was your inspiration for this project? And taking this here, and especially in a grade 1 listed house. I mean, did you know coming in, you thought, right, this is something I want to do? You had an idea around that? Or was it once you lived here for a bit, you thought, hold on, this is not sustainable. I'm going to get ahead of the curve.
It did not make sense to be burning all that fossil fuel and just really, you know, having a kind of rather old, inefficient system.
Yes.
And why not put in something brand new that actually uses the new technologies and is zero emissions? And that 140 megawatt hours is enough across the year to cover everything we need at Athelhampton. Everything, which is the heating, the cooking in the commercial kitchen, lighting, even charging the occasional car. So no, it is great.
That is incredible. So, okay, I'm just going to, I know that this is a silly question, but I am going to ask it because I know what the answer is, but I just want to hear it from Giles. So you do not receive any electricity bills or gas bills?
So for the Athelhampton House and the gardens and the cafe, we get a bill in the middle of winter and then we get money back in the summertime.
Okay.
Net, in carbon terms,
yes,
we actually are genuinely neutral because what we're drawing down in the middle of winter is a little bit technical, but it comes in the middle of the night,
right,
when the grid is very low carbon.
Yes, yes.
In terms of actual money, we pay a tiny bit because unfortunately they don't give us as much back for each unit that we put back in as we buy from them.
I see.
Which, you know, I can grumble about, but at the end of the day, it's tiny.
It's tiny compared to what we are in now, the electricity and the gas prices. It's tiny. And also your heating and lighting electricity, a grade 1 listed house, a very big manor house, and you've got your cafe.
Yes.
So,
yes,
you know, without this, that bill would be enormous.
It would be horrendous. And then, I mean, as I'm sure you know, then of course what you have to is you turn the thermostats right down or off.
Yes.
And then that's not so good for the fabric of the poor building.
No.
Nor for the fabric of the poor people, but that's another matter. But,
yes, no, that is, oh my goodness, it's incredible. But this, my understanding is this is just one, I'm seeing just one part of the project that you implemented. Is that right?
That's right, yes. So
the solar, this is all drawing it in from this beautiful sun.
Exactly, yep.
And then what happens?
So this then is going to go to the heat pumps, which is what creates the heat and the hot water to actually keep the house warm.
Okay, should we head there and look at those?
Let's go and have a look at those.
Let's look at those.
Let's head off.
Oh my goodness, it really was staggering to see Giles and the team at Athelhampton and just to see what they've achieved. I had no idea that there were solar panels there, and to think that there's 1,000 meters of cable hidden underground. It's so clever, and especially in a Grade 1 listed building and garden too.
Shall I lead the way?
Yes. Where are we headed to now?
So now we're going to look at the heat pumps.
Oh.
And the heat pumps here are they're being powered by the solar power that we've just seen.
I see. So you've got solar power where we were just in the kitchen garden.
Yes, exactly.
Coming all the way underground.
Underground, of course.
Right.
Yes,
Underground, up through here.
Yes.
Now explain to me their purpose so I can get my head around this.
So
This is
these
incredible.
machines, and you may be able to feel it, they're a bit like an inverse air conditioner.
Yes.
And so what they're doing is they are yes, this one is going, you can feel it pumping out air.
Oh, yes.
So this draws in air at one temperature and it pumps it out at a lower temperature.
Okay.
And it extracts the heat from the air.
Okay, so these two are working in tandem.
Yes, well, the system, the kind of computer turns on and off as many as it needs at any given moment.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, so they're using the solar power to extract, in effect, heat from the air, which is rather clever.
Oh my goodness. This is some serious technology here.
It's good, isn't it?
This is very good.
Yes.
And you
So
have,
yes.
It looks like you've got sort of, what is this, 10?
We've got 10 here,
Here.
yes,
Oh,
and then there's another bank over the other side.
And you're very, it's very clever, Giles, because they're hidden away from view.
Well, that is essential. And I mean, obviously you can see we're very close to even the Elizabethan part, the Tudor part of the house, but they really are tucked away in this kind of, you know, grotty area where we would just had dustbins or something.
Right, you would have had, exactly,
so
exactly.
Nobody can see them, but here they are nice and close to warm up the house.
Nice and, wow. Okay, so this now is heating, taking what would be discarded usually, recycling it, if you like, heating, and then there's another step, isn't there? Right.
So yes, so this goes through one more kind of thing that looks a bit like a boiler, and then of course it has to come into the house.
Yes.
And in a kind of old-fashioned, say, a gas boiler, you'd be heating the house through radiators.
Yes.
And we are doing that to some extent, but we're also making a lot of use of underfloor heating, and we've even repurposed some of the old grills that were put in the Victorian era.
So I'd love to see inside then, now sort of the end product, if you like.
Yes.
It coming up through the grills and this heat that I've just seen that's being extracted and pumped in at no cost.
Let's come and look. Let's come and look.
Now, I have to say, I did notice these before when we were in here having our Elizabethan lunch.
Let's have a good look at them, shall we?
Oh my goodness, yes.
So these are the original Victorian grills.
Fantastic. So these, during the Victorian period, then of course, were to heat the hall that we're in right now.
Absolutely.
Heated by coal.
By coal, like
coming
as far
up
as we know.
through. Yes, exactly. And then when you came in, was this being used at all as a heat source?
They'd kind of modernized it, I don't know, 30 years ago with a very clunky old system.
Right.
And so barely working, I would say.
Right. And so that now you're piping it up through and the heat's coming up.
Exactly. So what is coming up from here is actually the heat that's being produced by those air source pumps that we were just looking at.
Yeah, fantastic. So as far as the sort of architectural design of all of this and where the pipe was coming through, the infrastructure was already there. It was, in one sense, it was replacing. Is that right?
That is absolutely true here in the Great Hall.
Okay.
But as you went through the rest of the house, in some places, maybe there were old radiators, which we could use one or two of, but mainly had to upgrade. But also, we decided on another solution in some places, which was to remanufacture these grills and put them in other rooms.
Ah, okay. Instead of having the wall radiators.
Exactly.
Much prettier.
Much prettier.
Yeah.
Giles's innovative thinking and vision was shared with his co-mastermind architect, Stephen Pittman, who met me to explain more, but where we met was astounding. It was in the state-of-the-art hub of the project. And here I encountered, get ready everybody, a power wall of Tesla batteries.
Oh my goodness, Stephen, this is incredible. So I walked through, a lot of this project that you and Giles did together. I've seen the solar panels, I've seen I call them air conditioners, but they're not. But
heat pumps,
heat pumps. But now we're here, and so just remind everybody who's watching again. It's almost as if you're. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it's almost as if you're almost like your own electric company.
Well,
grid?
yes. So we're generating electricity from the solar panels. Okay. Now, obviously, that's only at a certain peak of time.
Yes.
And that changes throughout the year.
Yes.
And your demand changes throughout the year as well. So in the summer, for example, it's generating more energy than it usually would use.
Right.
And rather than that just be sent back to the grid, it's storing it in these.
I see.
And then when that generation declines, as that decline becomes to a level that the estate needs more, the batteries start trickling in.
Oh my goodness.
And that's how it balances it out.
And that, I see.
The first 12 months of this system up and running, it's used, it drew 9.5 megawatts of electricity from the grid, but sent back 7 megawatts.
Right.
So that's a difference of 2.5 megawatts,
Right.
which is smaller than most 3-bed semis.
Right, right.
And beforehand, that was just massive, way beyond any of those numbers. So ultimately, these batteries are offering that balance.
Yeah, they're offering the balance.
It's a 12-bed, significant Tudor manor house, largely single glazed, etc. I understand Giles has gone through all the upgrades we did inside the house. We've got the coach house, which is grade 2-star thatch building. Other than the thatch, there's no insulation there.
Right, right.
There's River Cottage, which is similar. There's outbuildings and sort of all the grounds and estate needs there. And within all of that, the energy usage from the grid is less than a 3-bed semi-detached house.
Unbelievable.
So,
unbelievable. That is incredible.
Yeah,
right there.
It's quite impressive.
Is really impressive.
Yeah.
And all those, sort of aspects you just said, single glazed, there's not double glazed on it. You're talking about
no insulation,
a 500-year-old house. And same goes for the coach house, the thatched roof restaurants now. The cost to heat those buildings right now without this would be astronomical.
Oh, absolutely. You'd be looking at 6 figures easy.
Yeah, 6 figures. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Stephen. This is fantastic. So
thank
you for taking the time.
Nice to meet you.
What a brilliant project. So nice to meet you.
Isn't that amazing? Just to think that until 2020, 100 tons of carbon were emitted annually at Athelhampton, and that the aim of this project was to cut carbon emissions to 0. Giles has, of course, made a massive investment, but what is so inspiring and, of course, also rewarding is the long-term benefit to the environment. But also, I do believe that he and Athelhampton have really become the blueprint for other historic house owners to hopefully one day follow.
Mapperton and many of the houses that I film at, like this one here, Athelhampton, are part of Historic Houses, which is the association that owners of these beautiful and old houses and gardens all join to help us figure out how to look after these wonderful places. We need their advice and help on everything from restoration to running a business to renewable energy. But we need your help and support in order to secure grants and understandings that help save some really fragile places from going under and being sold. And this was particularly poignant during the pandemic, and it's still making a difference now. When you become a Historic Houses member, you get a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to care for somewhere like Mapperton and Athelhampton. The quarterly magazine sent straight to your door and available online is packed with great features Lots of history, art, and architecture, but fun stuff, and insights into a typical day in the life of an owner too. And if you're coming to Britain, the best part is that you can use your card to visit many of the places that appear on the American Viscountess channel, absolutely free. It's the essential pass you need for any summer holiday on this side of the pond, and pretty much the only one that covers the whole of the UK, including Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, as well as England. I've set up a special code just for you to receive a discount on your Historic Houses yearly membership. Details down below. Now, what's fascinating for me as an American, to be perfectly honest, is that always, it seems like, you know, when you go to these historic houses,
Yes, yes.
there is the history, the fabric, the architecture, the inside, the stories.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you get to walk outside.
You do,
And there's usually a fantastic garden. Is that right?
Yeah, no, they go together. They really do. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you know, the English love their gardens,
Yes,
don't they?
Yes, yes, absolutely they do.
And here, of course, I've heard so much about the gardens here at Athelhampton. So you're going to give me a tour, is that right?
I will do, yes, I will show you. Come on through here.
Wow.
And this we call it the corona. It sounds a bit bad given what we've all been through, but it's
probably
because
very
it's
popular now.
It's a crown, and you can see these little pyramids round,
Yes.
or obelisks forming this crown. And this is really, this small circle is the heart of the Athelhampton garden.
Fantastic. And the garden, has it evolved over the years? And obviously it has, but can you give me a little bit of history around it?
Of course, but the designer was a man called Inigo Thomas, and he was an amazing man, real thinker and designer, architect and so on. And he drew inspiration from the Renaissance, from the Elizabethan era. He drew it all together, and he had this idea of rooms, of outdoor rooms.
Okay.
So this is the room, as it were, at the heart of the outdoors. And
Right.
we can go into each of the little doorways around the edge.
Okay.
And in fact, we've just come through one, which is, where, of course, in front of the house, where you would arrive, and that links us to the house. And now, if you like, we can
which
come
room
through.
are we going to?
Let's come here to what we sometimes call the private or the east garden here.
Oh, it is stunning. Look at this. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Oh, and then you just have this fantastic view from the back of the house.
Exactly.
Absolutely wonderful. And overall, how long? Because when Matt Britton, I know our Italianate gardens took 7 years, 1920 to 1927. And these gardens here, what was the length?
So I think the initial stage, these outdoor rooms that we're going through now, were built very quickly, actually, in about perhaps 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was a massive effort. They had to shift 40,000 kind of tons of earth, which sounds an extraordinary amount.
Yes, it does.
And indeed, they had to demolish some old farm buildings because the house had actually kind of become a farmhouse, and it was being converted back to become a mansion.
Right.
So there was lots of work, but they just really, shall we come this way around?
This is enormous.
Now, yes, isn't this amazing?
This is amazing.
The Great Court.
Oh, so this room is called the Great Court.
Great Court, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Okay.
Now these are you.
Yeah, tell me about these
and
pyramid
well,
views.
you see, I think Inigo Thomas put these here because if you look at pictures of old Elizabethan gardens, they often had yew pyramids. But now, mostly, they were kind of sort of knee-high to a grasshopper. They were sort of down here somewhere or other. And of course, over the years, these ones have just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Look at this.
Yes.
And is this is their peak, or is there potential that they could?
To be honest, I think they're now big enough.
Okay.
And if anything, we'd love to just perhaps make them not quite so big. That's a tall order. But no, I think they're a lovely size now.
They are. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
And then Giles showed me to the Mediterranean garden, his favorite room, if you like, of the garden where tea was waiting for us.
and it's my favourite because it's a bit of a sun trap at almost every time of year.
Right.
And in summertime we might come and have a cocktail here before supper.
Sounds good.
But obviously now it's winter and we perhaps want something a bit warmer, and it's the middle of the day. So we've got a cup of tea for you here. So
sensational.
Yeah. Eucalyptus.
Oh my goodness, this is fantastic.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely fantastic. I can see why this is your favorite part. This is, I'm afraid I'm going to have to agree with you.
Yes.
I mean, I love the Great Court.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but there's just something spectacular about this tree, eucalyptus, and then brought us some tea.
Cup of tea, yeah.
Well, brilliant.
Yes.
Do you know what? We do have the sun, and it is, when you look at it, it is rather warm.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So,
cheers.
Welcome, cheers.
Thank you, Giles. What an absolutely spectacular garden. So, Giles, you know, I just wanted to ask, now that we're sort of sitting out here having a cup of tea, relaxed, the sun is on us. You became the custodian of Athelhampton in 2019. And what was it that really drew you? Because this is a big project.
Yeah,
you know, this is not like I'm just going to buy a large modern house and have all the modernizations, and it's much easier to restore, repair, whatever.
Yeah.
But what inspired you to say, right, I want to be a custodian of, you know, a home that's well over 500 years in history?
Yeah, and I mean, you know better than almost anyone what a big project and how much is involved. So of course, but I think the answer is, I mean, I think it's just almost like falling in love. I mean, it is an amazing place.
Yes.
And if one's lucky enough to have that opportunity, very difficult to not be tempted by that. It is just extraordinary here. And I think it's because it's not just that you've got a wonderful old house, it's that you've got all the amazing history, all the people who've been connected with it down history and right up to the present day. I mean, the wonderful people who work here and who know it, all the visitors who come, people who've been married here, all that, and then of course the gardens, just stunning.
Yes.
So, yeah.
No, and you've put it so eloquently, because that's exactly how I feel. It's about the stories past, but also the stories present, and the community that these houses still retain, but in a different way.
Yes.
So, you know, when we look back 100, 150, 200 years ago, and of course in Athelhampton's case, well over 500 years ago, the community was very much tied in.
Yes.
But we as custodians now, our community is a much wider reach because it's the public. We're saying, come and enjoy what we want to share with you.
Yes.
And it's sort of making sure that those invisible walls that were once up hundreds of years ago are completely down, and it's that shared history and story. And I think that's what's so wonderful.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I think as well as physically inviting people in or allowing them to see over you know, video and whatever, it is also about showing people the history and understanding how people lived in the past and so on.
Yeah.
That's all part of it.
Of course it is, and how we've evolved.
Very much so.
I'm thinking at one point when it gets warmer, Giles, I might have to invite myself back, and I'm going to tell you, I'm usually a beer drinker. However, because I am a lover of Italy, Mediterranean, I would have an Aperol Spritz with you. Would you do that with me next time I come back?
That sounds like a deal. It sounds like a deal, yeah.
All right, Aperol Spritz it is, everybody, the next time we return.
And cheers to that, everybody. I loved every minute of my visit to Athelhampton, and I hope you did as well. Good news is, I will be back there in future episodes when I hear about some ghostly happenings that nearly made me run away screaming. So get ready for that. As you know, I absolutely love visiting these historic houses and bringing you their history, their stories, and of course meeting the owners. So if you love these castles, stately homes, and manors as much as I do, please do consider becoming an American Viscountess patron, because it's a community filled with other people who love historic houses as well. And when you become a patron, you'll also get American Viscountess merchandise, live Q&As, behind the scenes videos, and all these videos you'll get early access and they're ad free. But maybe most importantly is that you're supporting the high quality productions of these videos. So do check it out down below in the link in the description. Thank you everybody so much for joining me once again here at Matt Britton in the drawing room. And I look forward to seeing you back here very, very soon.